Challenges with the MCAT exam?
Oh yes. But I think also with the MCAT, I was studying the way that I was studying for some of the classes in college, and I think
Mhm.
that probably hindered me because the way I studied in college, the way I studied in med school is completely different, like completely different. And I think had I applied what I learned in med school to the MCAT, I wouldn't have had those issues. It was more, and like I tell people this all the time, and I know this sounds like silly, but it's more about active learning than passive learning. So many people sit and they just passively try to obtain information. You're not going to obtain reading a sentence or reading an equation and not committing it to memory. If you can't commit things to memory, that's when you run into those issues. Because like med school is a lot of like rote memory, a lot of just memorizing large amounts of information in short amount of times. And if you're not actively learning and committing these things to your memory bank, you're going to have difficulties in college and on the MCAT in med school when you take your board exam pathways. Our friends would get together and we would run through all the pathways. We would go through, you know what I mean? Like it's literally like that way when you get to the test and they ask you, oh, what's the third step in the Krebs cycle or something? You remember it because you literally have been saying it for the last like 20 days. You know what I mean? Or however long you've been studying for
Okay, so let's jump into the master's program. So you get accepted, you make the transition, you head to New York. How was that for you?
it. That was it was a little bit of a culture shock because I am from a little town outside of Houston, very rural. You know, we only had one stoplight in the whole town until I was like 18 or 19. So it was very small. We got a Starbucks probably like 10 years ago. It's very, very country. So to go from that to landing in New York and being pitch black at night, we got there at like 11 p.m. at night. My parents were like a little apprehensive, but I mean, I feel like I adjusted pretty well. Yeah, I think it was just a different vibe living in Harlem, but like after being there, it's literally my favorite place. If it wasn't so expensive, I would move back to Harlem today. But yeah, but it was
Did
a
you?
little bit of a like change in like pace and like the type of people that I would encounter. But I mean, I've got through it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, culturally, what did you experience? What did you like? Did you like the diversity of it?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I loved it. I mean, I've always, I think, sought out places where it was just like a melting pot, if you will. Like, so I love different cultures. I love experiencing different cultures, new people, different languages. Like, I love that. So to be around that every day, it was the best. It really was.
Okay, so you step into the medical school building. You're beginning that experience. What does that look like?
Excitement. Very. I mean, scared, yes.
Mhm.
But I also was like excited to start and like get to my goal and like hit the ground running because like again, it was like all of us. It was kind of like not our class because I feel like our class was very cohesive, so we all liked each other and we all wanted us to do well. So if someone found a good study tool, they would send it out to like our little message group and like just to help us.